My dear 12th class economics students, Assalamu alaikum. In this lecture, we will analyze the shape and structure of different short run cost curves. Dear students, the traditional theory of costs analyze the behavior of cost curves in the short run and in the long run. As we already know that short run is a period of time during which some factors of production are fixed and some are variable. Accordingly, short-run costs are divided into two components. First, fixed costs and second, variable costs. On the other hand, in the long-run time period, quantities of fixed factors such as capital equipment, factory, building, etc. can also be varied for making changes in output. Thus, in the long run time period, there are no fixed factors of production and hence there are no fixed costs. Or we can say in the long run time period, all factors of production are variable and hence all costs are variable. Dear students, since the concept of long run costs is not in your syllabus, so our focus will only be on the behavior of short run cost curves. In the short run, we may have different types of costs as given in the current slide, like total fixed cost, total variable cost, total cost, average fixed cost, average variable cost, average total cost, and lastly marginal cost. Now let us discuss them one by one in detail. Firstly, total fixed costs. Students, total fixed costs are the costs which are incurred on the fixed factors of production. That is, they are incurred on those factors of production which remain fixed in the short run. Such type of costs are also known as supplementary costs, overhead costs, indirect costs, or sunk costs. The fixed cost is independent of the level of output produced. That is, these costs do not change with the change in the level of output. These costs are a fixed amount which must be incurred by a firm in the short run, whether the level of output is small or large. Even if the firm closes down for some time period in the short run but remains in business, the fixed costs have to be borne by it. Examples of fixed costs include payment or rent for land, rent for buildings, payment for machinery, insurance premium, etc. Graphically, the total fixed cost curve is shown as a horizontal line parallel to the output axis. As shown in this figure, here we can see that whatever the level of output, the total fixed cost remains the same, as shown by the TFC curve, which represents total fixed cost. Now coming to total variable cost. Students, total variable costs are those costs which are incurred on the employment of variable factors of production whose amount can be changed in the short run. Thus, the total variable costs change with changes in the level of output. That is, they increase or decrease when the level of output rises or falls. cuts down for some time period in the short run, then it will not use the variable factors of production and will not therefore incur any variable costs. That is, if no level of output is produced, the total variable cost is zero. Variable costs are also known as prime costs or direct costs. Variable costs include expenses like purchase of raw materials, wages of casual laborers, electricity bills, wear and tear expenses, etc. Total variable cost curve is shown in the figure given here. As shown in the figure, the total variable cost curve has an inverted S shape and slopes upwards from left to right, showing thereby that as output increases, total variable cost also increases. We can also see here that the total variable cost curve starts from the origin, which shows that when output is zero, the variable costs are also zero. Initially, the total variable costs rise at a diminishing rate up to the point of inflection, but after that point, the total variable costs rise steeply at an increasing rate. It is due to the operation of diminishing returns to factor at the later stages of production. Now, the total cost. Students, total costs are the total expenses incurred by a firm on all the factors of production, that is on both fixed and variable factors of production in producing a given quantity of a commodity. Since both fixed and variable costs affect short-run costs, total cost at each level of output is the sum of total fixed cost and total variable costs. Thus, total cost, that is TC, is equal to total fixed cost, that is TFC, plus total variable cost, that is TVC. Total cost of a firm also increases with the increase in the level of output, as there is a change in total variable cost. The figure given here shows the total cost curve, which has an inverted S shape just like total variable cost curve. It is an upward sloping curve which shows that with increasing output, total cost also increases. As can be seen here in this figure, total cost curve cuts the vertical axis, that is y-axis, at a point above the origin. This is because even when no amount of output is produced, the firm has to incur fixed costs. As we know, total cost is equal to total fixed costs plus total variable costs. This figure here shows the behavior of total fixed cost, total variable cost, and total cost curves simultaneously. TFC curve shows total fixed cost, TVC curve shows total variable cost, and TC curve shows total cost. Here we can see that the total fixed cost curve is a horizontal line parallel to x-axis, and both total cost and total variable cost curves are upward sloping and have an inverted S shape. The only difference between total cost and total variable cost curves is total cost curve cuts the y-axis at a point above the origin, and total variable cost curve starts from the origin. and total cost curve always lies above the total variable cost curve. Dear students, as we know that total cost curve is the aggregate of total fixed cost and total variable cost curves, and it is obtained by adding up vertically total fixed cost and total variable cost curves. Hence, total cost curve lies above the total variable cost curve. Since the total fixed cost curve is a horizontal straight line parallel to the output axis, the total cost curve follows the total variable cost curve at an equal vertical distance. That is, the vertical distance between the total variable cost and total cost curve is constant throughout. As can be seen here, that total cost curve begins from 300 on the y-axis. This is because at zero level of output, total fixed cost is equal to 300 while total variable cost is 0. So that total cost is equal to total fixed cost plus total variable cost. That is total fixed cost, which is equal to 300, and total variable cost is equal to 0. Thus, total cost is equal to 300. It should be noted that both the total variable cost and total cost curves increase initially at a decreasing rate up to the point of inflection, and then they increase at increasing rate. It is due to the application of law of variable proportions. The behavior of average and marginal cost curves will be discussed in our next lecture. Thank you.